Sarah, do you do the shopping for your family? Do you go to the grocery store?
I'd say we about split it. I'm not trusted to pick out the meats. Apparently, that's a man's
Okay.
job to pick out
I
steaks.
wanted to talk to you about eggs because I did shoe leather journalism because Kamala Harris is going to come out with the price gouging stuff today, which is absolute economic illiteracy. So I did a
Hmm.
survey of 6 sources of eggs yesterday, and they range from the local farm stand, which is we'll show you a picture of that, where the eggs at the farm stand run $7 a carton, and the cheapest we could find. I mean, they went down. CVS is $5.99. The Costco is $5.59. There, I went everywhere, man. And eggs, the cheapest I could find is $4.09. And in 2020, eggs cost a buck 51. Does price gouging persuade anyone when Kamala Harris talks about it when it comes to food and gas?
I don't think so, and I don't think it's meant to be even presented as a serious solution. It seems like more of a rhetorical device than an actual policy position. What I think it's designed to do is kind of shift blame away from the people who've been in charge while inflation has spiraled over the past 3 plus years, and to put the blame for inflation on corporations. So I think it's intended to kind of shift the lens of how voters are looking at inflation more than actually addressing inflation, because this idea also isn't even new. I mean, this is something that Joe Biden tried to do when he was running, to blame companies for shrinkflation and for raising prices out of corporate greed. There's not some corporate conspiracy going on. It's the policies of the Biden administration that has driven this. But I think this is more about blame shifting than proposing an actual solution.
Yeah, eggs and milk is what I think they need to focus on, and the price of gasoline. Donald Trump did that at Bedminster yesterday. But the second big proposal we're going to get today is 25 grand for every new home buyer, and especially if you're a person of color. That's insane too. But that would require. I mean, she doesn't think she has the authority to do that, does she?
No, I think that this would be something that would have to advance legislatively. There's no way that Republicans in Congress would go along with this. It would be subsidizing demand. It would be a guaranteed way to drive up the cost of housing, which is already unaffordable for most Americans, for Americans, my age who are ready to buy their first home. A lot of us are priced out of the market because of how high the prices are right now, even setting aside a conversation about interest rates. So if you're doing something that's very obviously on its face inflationary to worsen the cost of housing. I mean, again, this is not a serious proposal. It just seems more like a bumper sticker that Kamala Harris is looking to run on.
Uh, okay, I want to close by playing you the start of Pat Harrigan yesterday. They had a campaign events. J.D. Vance, Brian Mast, Michael Waltz, and then Pat Harrigan, who's a congressional candidate. Just play the first minute of cut number 31 for Sarah, please.
And it's great to be here with our veteran family. I walked around a little bit and talked to a few of y'all, and some of you guys haven't served, and that's great. But to those who haven't served and are watching this now, I can appreciate that you might not understand why America's veterans across the political spectrum are standing up to sound the alarm about Tim Walz. I can appreciate how you might look fondly on his 20-plus years of service in the National Guard. And I understand why it can seem like nitpicking when our veteran community reads his words and we scream, "Stolen valor."
All right, so it goes on. It gets tough. Sarah, is this issue? I think Tim Walz is it would get. They would not pick him again if they had done any vetting. What do you think?
I totally agree. I think the stolen valor hit is one of the only ones that has broken through since Kamala Harris became the nominee and the press has totally abdicated its responsibility to do any vetting. This scrutiny on Tim Walz and his military record is so bad that even this media has not been able to ignore it. It's broken through both sides of the aisle. It's so blatant, and so I think that it's made Tim Walz even more of a liability than he was, even if you just looked at his very progressive record. And the Kamala campaign has had no compelling response to deal with it. They were clearly unprepared to deal with the stolen valor issue.
So I have made 3 points today. Her inflation proposal, we'll fix it by getting rid of price gouging, is insane. her $25,000 is going to cause inflation in housing, and the stolen valor should have disqualified Tim Walz. Has she done anything right since she got the nomination, other than hide?
Other than hide, that's what I was about to say. It's a cowardly strategy, but it's one that's very effective. She's been able to mask the weaknesses that tanked her last presidential campaign, and Democrats have every reason to continue to suggest she should hide behind teleprompters. It's the journalists who are the ones who should be calling for her to speak, and the fact that they're not is pretty telling, because if this race is on policies and substance, I think Donald Trump runs away with it. If it's on vibes and intangibles, Donald Trump has been struggling and off message, and it is a toss up then.
But Sarah, very quick, the vibe I'm getting is they're incompetent. I mean, their first three things, walls, price gouging, and giveaways to a first-time homebuyer, it's all incompetent. Isn't that the new vibe?
Well, if she doesn't have to answer seriously for those missteps, then it could just be on vibes,